All right, Almost Punk Podcast, episode 37 with Olga and
Colin. Here we are.
Right. Yeah, and this episode we're going to be talking about some stuff that might not be the right content for some of you. We're going to be talking about sexual assault, and we're going to be just kind of sharing some opinions about some things as best of what we understand of what is going on. These are just our opinions based on what we've seen.
Yeah.
We always just drop one of these whenever we feel like it. Sorry about the sporadic posting schedule.
I mean, we're moving into August. It's the end of is it the end of summer? I always think of the end of August is the end of summer, but people include September into summer. Like they have the Olympics in September.
Yeah,
so
I like having as much summer as possible, so I would like to include as many months into it as possible.
All right, we're dead smack middle of summer then.
We're in the middle of the summer. It's barely begun, yeah.
And probably the biggest news of the summer right now.
Anti-Flag announced that they are no longer together, and they only announced it on Patreon, and they just deleted all their socials, their Facebook, their Instagram, their Twitter, and also the band members. Yep. Deleted everything. So one of my friends saw it and texted me, and I immediately was thinking, oh, when a band disappears like this is bad news. I was thinking, ooh, that's not good. Like that's where my mind goes, because I've been through enough scandals now, or not been through. I've observed. We've covered some scandals on this podcast. So that's kind of where my mind went immediately. Because when a band usually breaks up, they'll announce it. Like Sum 41 recently announced that they're breaking up. What did they say? We're releasing our last album this year. We're going to do our last headlining tour. So if you want to come see it, it's a good money grab for bands, honestly. Yeah. Like if you're going to quit the band. And it's a really great opportunity to like celebrate your career, celebrate your catalog, and for your fans to get a chance to finally to see you last time or the first time, knowing that you might not see them again. It's good for everybody. It's good to say goodbye instead of just disappearing into the void.
It's funny that you said you had your thought about first thing that came to mind, and mine was the opposite.
Oh, really?
I thought money grubbers, and I thought the lead singer has screwed over the rest of the band and wants to take all the publishing and all the royalties, and then they had a big argument about it, and then they just broke up. So I was like, it's all about the money. And I thought, funny, because it's Anti-Flag, and they're supposed to be about all the community and sharing all this stuff, and they're just blah, 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 money, and the singer's going to go solo.
I specifically thought underage girl. Like something, that's where my mind went, because I've seen a lot of like other bands have issues with it, and it's just, I mean, it's so common that it's like a meme in the pop punk community now, like, oh, that singers date underage girl. Like it's so common that it's like a joke of itself, like, which is, there's nothing funny about it. So that's kind of where my mind went immediately. And then, of course, I started digging around and pretty quickly found that about the same day that they announced their breakup, a podcast Enough, which is, I've never heard of it before, but I definitely checked it out. And I listened to that episode. But on the podcast, there was a woman who went on and basically talked about sexual assault that she experienced. And she did not say it was Anti-Flag, but it's kind of, there's no other band it looks like it could be from like, there's really no other band that the timeline works for, and kind of the references she made works for. And also it just so happens that Anti-Flag breaks up the day the podcast comes out mysteriously and completely disappears, which doesn't look like a coincidence, let's say.
Yeah, Kristina Sarhadi, she's from New York or East Coast, and she's now currently a therapist and Reiki master. I'm not sure what Reiki master is, but anyway, that's what she does. And this happened apparently years ago.
About 10 years ago.
And so we'll link the podcasts in the links or whatever. But man, that story was like you're living it while she's talking about it. It was so detailed. I could picture it, and it was so crazy because this is Anti-Flag.
Yeah.
And this is alleged. So it's funny. She never mentions the band, just like you said. She never mentions the dude's name. But you're right. The fans of the band, they know so much about it. They were the ones that figured out like instantly.
Yeah, it must have, because within hours, I feel like it went.
Yeah, you sent me the message. Anti-Flag broke up. I think it's the money thing. And then 5 minutes later,
I send you the
then you send me the
podcast.
podcast link, and I listen to the podcast, and my mind is blown.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Whoa.
do not listen to it if that's a subject matter you don't want to hear about, or it's a very, it's a graphic description and it's disturbing. It's really disturbing.
God,
I had
it's
to
super
pause
disturbing.
it many times just to like breathe. It was not a light listen. I will say.
And like the way that she kept her composure
Yeah.
amazingly, because
And there's
the
a YouTube.
hosts
There's a YouTube, like you can watch the
you can
interview
watch?
on
Oh, my
YouTube
goodness.
too, which I kind of
Wow.
did a little bit, but
I didn't
I
know
can't
that.
even like that's just a little too much.
because every
for me
once
right
in a
now.
while they'd like crack a joke,
Yeah.
or they made some sort, not a joke, but like a lighthearted
They
comment.
did. I think about like the dancing skills.
Yeah,
of the
and then I was
person.
just like, what? And like the Kristina Sarhadi, she kept it together.
Yeah.
Didn't break anything, and just told a extremely detailed step-by-step
Yeah.
story of the entirety of rape
Yeah.
without naming the person's
Yeah.
name, without naming the band. Just incredible
Yeah.
incredible ability to do that. I don't think I could do that. That was
Yeah.
very brave, extremely impressive.
Yeah.
And I had no doubt what she was talking about.
Yeah.
Not a single the details that she talked about, the places that she talked about
And also,
going,
even
the
the
dates that she
situations,
and-
I've
God.
like, as somebody who's been to a lot of shows, have met a lot of bands, like I've been in some, like in those situations or those similar interactions and so on. So it's like, it was very like familiar to me, even though like I've only met the drummer of Anti-Flag. I've met Pat. I've never met them. I don't know much about them as people. But it just kind of like the situations were similar to stuff I've experienced, with other bands, like being invited to stuff or chatting with them after shows and things like that.
Yeah, she just talks about starting it up. Oh, she Anti-Flag is her favorite. Oh, she didn't say Anti-Flag.
This band was this political band from East Coast.
Yes, this political band from the East Coast. She's in the front row. She sees the singer. They lock eyes. And then after the show, he just comes up to her and says, hey, if I come into town, you want to hang out?
Yeah.
And she thought nothing of it. It's just other than like, awesome. My favorite band's lead singer wants to hang out and go to this movie festival.
Yeah.
And like they have or the singer has a part in a movie that's playing, and he's going to take her, and she goes, and like, and there's things that she brings up that would be normal red flags, or not red flags, but concerning.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a known public figure
Yeah.
of anti-flag. And you wouldn't think this is a dangerous person. I would have never thought anything of it.
No. And even like one of her thoughts was he was so much older than her that she didn't think
he's 20 years older.
he
than
was
her.
20. She was about like 22, I think she
Yeah.
said, and he was 40 at the time.
Yeah.
Which that was one of the most shocking things to realize that this
That dude
singer,
is now 50 years old.
He's 50 years old. I was like, what?
I did not know that.
I did not know this. And so she didn't think he was like interested in her, because you kind of see them as like parental figures then in the scene. If you're, that many 2 decades younger, right? Like this is a band that got you in a lot of people involved in politics, into, veganism, into activism, into all kinds of things. So I think you probably, a lot of their fans probably saw them as like parental figures more than anything, like
Idols.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if I'm her, I'm thinking the same thing. Cool. I'll go to the show.
Yeah.
Fine.
Like he needs a ride.
He needs
seems
he needs a ride.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take him.
Yeah,
No problem.
no problem.
Like, and then when they go walking around the festival, then he starts introducing her as his girlfriend, and she tells him, "Oh, I got a boyfriend."
Yeah.
And like he didn't care, and she was just like, "Okay, well." Still, she thought this is the beginning of when things get strange, and then he like tries to kiss her, then he does kiss her, and then she's like, okay, this is definitely weird.
I think he tried kissing her, or he tried going in the back seat.
Yeah,
like
that
on
was
the way there. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was on the way back. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, she's like, okay, we got to get out of here. And so she tries to take him home. And then that's what I was thinking. He's like trying to put the moves on her then again. And she's like, no, I'm on my period. I got a boyfriend. She's saying all these things to like get out of the situation without like being rude, I guess, which is always the thing that.
Yeah.
That's a separate issue about the not being rude to dudes who are trying to like put the moves on you.
Sure, people are brought up to not be rude and nice, and people have a lot of like struggles with, you don't want to be perceived as a mean person. But when women reject men, there's men who will go crazy. They'll either start physically or verbally attacking you. So then you can't do it. So you're just like, I don't want to have to deal with this scene right now.
Now I get it. She's trying desperately to get out of this. He keeps trying to make out with her. And then he says, okay, fine. We'll just go back to the hotel and we'll listen to this new song. I'm doing a collaboration with Billy Bragg, which apparently was a lie or something that never even came out.
It never came out.
I looked for it too. Yep, didn't see anything. So.
And she said she never found it, and she never heard it on the hotel room because instead, he just attacked her.
Yeah, immediately. Like they get back to the hotel and he just jumps on her like football tackle and then like strangles her and rapes her. It's insane. She's going through it step by step, and it is, man. And you can just picture it because if you're an Anti-Flag fan, you know what the guy looks like. You know how he talks. You know how he speaks. Like everything about it is just so graphic. And this is Anti-Flag. This is not Marilyn Manson where, it's disgusting. But I'm like, I expect it. I do. Because I already know the guy's a creep.
Yeah.
He is a creep. Like that's his whole persona in that case.
So it's not shocking. But Anti-Flag is like out here writing feminism is for everybody songs. So you're like, oh, okay. They like and respect women.
So anyway, this is an alleged thing. Yeah, it has not been proven, but I'm just saying personal opinion. I got no reason to believe otherwise. This is nuts.
Yeah, and I guess a couple more people sort of like less formally, there's been some comments here and there online where other people stepped out. So now they're saying it's not just one person who stepped out. But the other stories are just like very like Me Too or it happened to me as well. That's it.
And that's why the story kind of came out because why is she telling the story now? And it was, so she's driving with her friend and her friend's telling her about this blog post about rock stars who rape women. And there was one about Justin Sane. Randomly. And so she thought, well, she has to speak out on it because if there's other people, who knows? There could be a ton of people. Yeah. And then just like you said, as soon as you go on the internet, you go on Twitter. I saw on Twitter, it immediately like 2 other people. And then you go on Reddit, a bunch of other people. And it's like, oh my God, this is like.
This is a thing.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's weird because, I guess it's unsurprising because I guess if that's the kind of thing you do, then that's kind of thing. I've also even seen people saying I've had like a consensual relationship with him or hookup. But one of them I saw was saying she was underage.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that counts as consensual technically. But she was like, oh, it was consensual. I'm okay with it. But
it's like the method he uses for everybody.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm the rock star. You're the fan. You'll do anything that I want to do and I'll get away with it. And some people are cool with it and some people aren't. But either way, he doesn't care.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the way it's coming
and
across.
And also
here.
Important to mention, alcohol was involved.
Yeah.
So,
totally.
Which is weird because they're like a straight edge band, or at least some of them are. And she was straight edge because of this band. Yeah. And so then like when you add, having any alcohol, like she was really small. She was like about 100 pounds and she's never drank before, sounds like. So even having like 1 or 2 drinks, that's going to mess you up.
And then like she has a pregnancy scare after. This part is like where it just gets so bad and she texts him and he doesn't even respond. And then later on, like, I can't remember if it was a couple months later, he's like, oh, I'm coming into town. You want to hook up again?
Yeah.
What? What is going after? Like, the last text she sends to him is about, you may be the father of my unborn baby. And then nothing. And then the next text she gets is, want to hook up later. I might be coming to town.
I might be coming. Do you want to hang out or something?
What the heck? And then another thing that kills me. Okay, they shut down their social media. They don't even comment.
Nothing.
I understand that the lead singer's not going to say anything. His lawyer's like, you better shut up or not say anything. That's typical BS. But the band Anti-Flag, these dudes
have not shut up about anything
they're
ever.
the most annoying freaking band I've ever seen on the stage talking about their beliefs.
They're outspoken. They're the most outspoken band there is.
The level of betrayal to their fans, their own message, their own individual purpose as a human being. They're nothing now.
Yeah.
And it turns out they've never been anything. It's a big fat lie this entire time because, they had to have known something. You don't know about the rape, but you know that guy picks up on chicks and takes them back and bangs them. And that alone goes against the message.
That doesn't go with their whole thing.
And
at all.
They had to have known.
They have no
bare minimum they knew that stuff.
I agree with you 100%. I think that they knew he was hooking up with fans.
Yeah. Ultimately, who's going to stop this guy? It's not going to be strangers that don't know who he is.
It's not going to be the crew.
It's not going to be the women that are getting raped. It's got to be the people that, if anyone's going to say anything, it would have been those guys.
It had to be your bandmates because also the way from what I understand, the dynamics work, right? The crew works for you. You're sort of the boss. So the other people, there is a structure of power, even though I'm sure Anti-Flag would like to say that there isn't. But you can't go, if you're selling T-shirts for tips over there, you can't walk up to your boss and be like, dude, what the heck?
Yeah.
You can, but you're going to lose your job and you're going to lose your livelihood. And all of a sudden you're the guy who got, or the girl who got fired from the tour. So it's the only people who can say something are the bandmates, I think, or your tour manager, because they're your peers. And it's that's whose job it is to say something. So I was just shocked. It consumed me, and I literally lost sleep about this.
I'm not getting over this one.
No.
I'm going to think about that one forever.
Yeah.
The victim blaming is out of control.
It's out of control. I'm reading, I'm following it on every social network I'm aware of. And somebody's solution was literally well, women shouldn't talk to bands.
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen? I was are you freaking kidding me? First of all, there's women who have to talk to bands because of their job. They are bloggers, they're interviewers, they're photographers, they're bartenders, they are working security, they're doing sound and so on. So what are we supposed to do? All sit at home? And also, the solution isn't women shouldn't talk to bands. No, men shouldn't rape women. How about that? Why aren't you complaining about that? What other people are... there's a lot of people saying, well, they have sucked for a while anyways. That's not the point. Completely missing the point. Cool, or I never liked them. Cool. That doesn't take away from what, you can't not admit that this is a huge band in the punk scene right now. They have been for decades. And then the other one is you shouldn't idolize people, which I agree. I think the life has shown us that is correct. However, some people need that in their life. Some people don't have role models in their families or in their communities that they relate to or so on. So they might idolize a band. And also, you don't have to idolize a band to be really upset about this. I don't idolize anyone in that band. I just thought they were cool dudes. But obviously I was wrong. I'm still upset about it because it's crazy. I'm upset. Even if this happened with band members of a band I hate, I would still be upset because I'm upset for the people that, suffered through all the stuff he's done. It doesn't matter how you feel about the band. And also, I'm also seeing people being well, it's been a known thing, that they're that this band, that he's a creeper. And I'm no, it hasn't.
No.
I have not. I've known people who I've had acquaintances who were friends with that band, and everybody just always said they were the nicest dudes. So
I had probably 5 albums of theirs.
Yeah.
I don't know a thing about how that guy behaves.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Everyone knows. No, they don't.
Yeah.
If I'd have known that, you think I'd be listening to any of this crap?
No.
Heck no. That's ridiculous.
And then as the aftermath, it looks like all the other news stories I've dug up on this is basically every band that was on AF Records has decided to break ties. Punk Rock Saves Lives has, cut ties with him as well. And then they were on tour with Bouncing Souls, right? Currently, and Bouncing Souls announced that they're not touring. But it was kind of a duh because the band doesn't exist anymore. So they can't tour with a band that doesn't exist. So I'm excited to see who they will add to that tour. All right, so we actually finished recording the episode, and then since then, there's been some updates. So we wanted to quickly record a follow-up to what's going on. There's been 2 statements issued. Both of them have been issued by Justin Sane on his Instagram. The rest of the account is now deleted. He doesn't have any of his old stuff up there. I still cannot find the social media of any of the other band members of Anti-Flag. But he released a statement basically saying that there's been claims of sexual assault made against him. So I guess my take is that he does acknowledge that that podcast episode was about him.
Well, yeah, not only that, but since the original podcast that Kristina Sarhadi went on, and she talked about being raped, and she didn't name any person, she didn't name the band.
Right.
Afterward, the internet, they came to the conclusion it was Justin Sane. Yep. He's been accused. But since then, other people, several, have accused him by name of sexual assault, rape, grooming, and all of that. And
also just, I guess, and also just having like consensual sex with his fans.
Yeah.
Say some of them have said it was,
And so that's what I was just saying is, he has been accused of rape. By name, by a few people.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yes.
Like
not on the podcast, but since then, yes.
Yeah. Correct. And now it's been a week. And so originally we were talking about, it took, we recorded the podcast and then we're right about to publish it. And then the band issued this statement. Right. And that's been a week.
Yes, since the whole story started. Correct. Yes.
So, I mean, at the time, we were just like, what the heck? No response, no nothing. And it was, so today was the day that they finally responded, denied everything, of course.
Basically,
And, it took a whole week for them to come up with, 2.5, 3 paragraph response. I categorically deny everything. This is not who I am. That's basically... which is the same response. I swear it's like this, someone wrote this, like a lawyer. Right. And these are the things that you always say to deny anything. I categorically deny this. It's like how many times have I heard that when it comes to something like this? So it's.
Yeah, I think what's interesting to me, the part of his statement is that he said that he's never been approached by a woman after a sexual encounter and been told that that he acted in any way without her consent or violated her in any way. Mm-hmm. I don't think that happens to my knowledge. I'm not an expert on the topic. I don't understand in what world someone would tell somebody afterwards. Consent is not acquired after. From both parties has to be happening, before and during things going on, not after.
The person that's accused Justin Sane, in the podcast, there is detailed description of all events leading up to it and, the aftermath of rape. And his response is just vague. I categorically deny these allegations. So it's like, are you addressing everything that was said? Like, are you denying that you've ever met this person? Are you denying that you ever promised to take her to the movies? Are you denying that you ever kissed her? Are you denying that you ever took her to the back seat of this car? Are you like, none of this is even mentioned. It is just categorically denying. So it's like, and also the besides that line that you pointed out that was awkward, I also thought another one was, I can tell you that these stories are categorically false. So what can't you tell us? Like, that means you've got advice over what you can say, and you were told by someone, I can say this. So it's like, okay. And then the other thing, he talks about no one in a sexual relationship has contacted him afterward. It's like, what about the call about possibly being pregnant?
Yeah.
Like, no reference to receiving this call. Okay, let's say it's consensual, but you're still not acknowledging that part of
I think it's okay. I think that is technically correct because he's saying he didn't get a text saying that wasn't cool. She
No, I get that. I'm just saying that that's a weird thing to,
it is
when
weird.
You're denying stuff and you're saying all of this. It's just to ignore every single element of what is being said and just throwing out, I can tell you this is categorically false.
Yeah.
So, okay, so for his statement to be true, he's basically saying he doesn't know this person other than at most a casual acquaintance, because he's categorically denying all allegations. So there were a lot. There was a lot.
Yeah.
There were a lot of allegations. For this to be true, this entire story has to be made up. And man, that is a tough one to go along with. I mean, you're not even saying, no, this is not how it happened. This is how it happened. Like, there's not, like, as someone, if you're putting out a statement of denying things, what are you denying? He's not saying what he's denying. He's just denying everything. Like,
yeah.
And then this is not the only allegation of rape that has been placed against him. So, I mean, I went on Twitter. There's like 3 different people with an ongoing conversation right now about it. And you go on Reddit, and that was a few days ago. I haven't looked at it since, but there was already a couple of them there too.
Yeah, and
so
I guess and Tumblr. So now there's and
the Tumblr one. So for crying out loud, like, what are he's denying everything.
Yeah.
Okay. It ends as well.
Yeah. And then the last one is he'd like to thank friends and family and many, many fans, musicians, and bands who reached out to him to offer their support and help. Who are they? That's what I want to know.
These bands?
Which fans are reaching out? So fans who have his phone number then are the other women he gives his phone number to? Like, how many of his fans have his phone number? Because how else are you reaching out, or email or something? The only person I could see reaching out is Stiza, who's complaining about cancel culture, and he's probably reached out. They've toured together.
I'd like to thank R. Kelly for reaching out from jail. I'd like to thank Gary Glitter from who knows where he is.
Yeah. Marilyn Manson has also reached
thank
out.
you for reaching out. I feel like it was a form letter from Justin. Typical band response in support of
the singer.
Nothing. Yeah. Like, it's not in support of Justin Sane. It's not in support of the victim. It's just, as a band, as a whole, we're against violence against women. We're out. Bye. Like, that's what they're saying. So, well, we'll follow it. And if anything else comes along through, we'll hash it out here as best as we can. Make sense of
what's going on.
It's nuts.
And then we have some new releases. First one is Yellow Card with Pierce the Veil, and the song is called 3 Minutes More.
And you were playing it for me in the background, and for a Yellow Card song, I liked it. I'm not a big Yellow Card fan. I know Lights and Sound and the big hit,
Ocean Avenue.
It was just a pop punk song. I didn't hear any violin. Was it way down in the mix and I just couldn't pick it up? But
yeah, it was. And I'm interested why they're collaborating with Pierce the Veil. But
I didn't even notice.
I'm telling you,
collab.
This whole
I'm not all that familiar with Pierce. I know more Yellow Card.
Yeah, I feel like we are living in like the golden era for the early 2000s pop punk.
Oh my goodness, it's weird.
Everything it's like it's all back.
Yeah.
And
not only that, it's more mainstream now than it was. So it's stranger because
so weird.
Yellow Card, they broke out of the underground into the mainstream.
Right.
But now they are the mainstream and it's making a comeback. So it's not the underground swelling up again.
No.
It is the mainstream coming back again. And it's a weird thing for me.
It's weird.
And I think it's just our age now where all that
stuff. They're touring.
It's shopping. It's a grocery store music now.
And they're touring with Mayday Parade and Berlin. So it's a good tour, but it is it's like the tour you would have seen 15 years ago. 15 years ago?
15
years ago. Yeah, you're right. 15 or 20 years ago. And, well, it feels like it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
And,
Am I going to check out a full album of Yellow Card? I don't think I will.
am going to the 20th anniversary tour that I just
we cover it all here, all the punk. So, someone has to take the bullet.
You're right.
You're willingly taking
Yes.
the bullet, and I'm proud of you for that, and I'm thankful because
You're
I can just
welcome.
listen to one song and be like,
Yep.
well, for yellow card, okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've only seen them like one time a long time ago. So I've never even like seen them when
The only reason why I even like them at all is because the lead singer dated Kelly Clarkson, and Kelly Clarkson's my favorite pop artist.
Yeah.
Although it might be Pink.
I see. Well,
I don't know. It's either Kelly Clarkson or
when
Pink.
they were originally sort of big, I was like, this is too wimpy for me. So I wasn't into it. But now I've embraced wimpiness, apparently.
You know, as I get older, I notice that the rage still burns strongly, but it doesn't come out as often. And so, yes, early yellow card days, very upset, very angry.
Right.
And now it's more like,
Well,
fine.
I think we answered the question as to why it's so big. A, it has the element of nostalgia for all the people that missed out on it the first time or went the first time and want to see it again. And a lot of us just don't care about, like, when a lot of these pop punk bands were big, I was like, no, I like hardcore. This is wimpy. And now I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I'll see it all. I'll go see a hardcore show. I'll go see an indie rock show. I'll go see a pop punk show.
Yeah, you mentioned Anne Boleyn, and I was like, oh, weren't they Christian punk? And I was
I
not
believe
into
so.
But now I listen to it completely in a different way where I'm like, that guy's voice is amazing. He can hit notes up in the sky. Anne Boleyn guy. Whereas in
It's a feel good drag.
and originally it was like, no, not hearing it, not listening to it, not having it.
I saw them in Berlin at when we were young.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Did he hit the high notes
I believe so.
in key,
Colin,
in the wind?
I couldn't hear that well. Let's not be crazy.
All right, well,
All right, next song is
Yes, I found this one. They are called CG8, aka Cum Girl 8, which I did not know their name before I chose them, and I'm like, wow. And then I thought their name was Goth Girl 1, but that's the name of the song I like.
so they like numbers and
Yes,
all the
so
titles.
CG8 that's the name of the band. Goth Girl 1 was the name of the song. They might be a new band I'm going to have to check into more. This is the only song I heard out in New York. They're like Peaches, a little it's a little goth, a little new wavy. Good call on that. A little post-punk.
It's like a good party song, maybe, like, or something
But
like
not
that.
when the party's like roaring.
Okay.
It's like at the end of the night when you're like, oh, I need to slow it down a little
Okay,
bit.
yeah.
But I still want to keep it going because it's got that burn to it, and it's got that vibe. So I'm like, at the club, late night at the club.
I want to have a party just so I can make the perfect party playlist with you. Yeah,
that would be cool.
Colin is a good party playlist.
Oh, that's true. I've had my moments.
You once made me a party playlist, and I've used it for many times.
I feel like it's a lost art, probably with Spotify
It is.
and all the
the
robots telling you what to listen to.
You can do one on there, but it's a skill. It's an art form in itself. You got to know. I mean, it's just like DJing is a thing, right? You have to know when to speed up. You have to know when people need a break.
And things change based on the crowd in the moment. And that's the thing. Because you can make a playlist, but things change.
Yeah.
And you have to be on the fly about that, which an AI
could not.
At least not now. They can't do it.
Can't read our emotions.
In the future, I don't know what the heck holds.
I'm going to have a party of like 2 or 3 people I know, and you can stand in the corner, judge the crowd, and adjust the playlist. I'm just kidding.
Ooh. You got the pink wall over there. I
Yeah.
think I could replace some light bulbs with the red lights that I got. Those lights.
I already have cool lights.
Oh,
I'll show them to you later.
oh,
Yeah, we're there. We're having a party.
We're doing it. And
Monk.
Monk.
Nothing matters.
I was just driving over here listening to in the car, and Monk came on, and the song was called "Nothing Matters," and I'm like, "This is good, hardcore." This is, I tend.
This is not yellow card, okay?
No,
this is not yellow card.
I tend to like hardcore in general,
Uh-huh.
but I don't find it catchy.
Yeah.
And I don't find it compelling to keep coming back to. It's just something that I always like hardcore. It's cool.
Yeah.
And then this song though. This is a compelling hardcore song, and that's why I had to bring it on the show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hardcore, and
You
and
know-
it's hard to tell
Yeah.
unless you're into it.
Yeah.
A lot of hardcore sounds the same because it's just very fast and very gruff and
Yeah.
very yelly.
Maybe
And
that's another reason that pop punk is so much more popular now. I have a theory because it is like more digestible in other things, right?
oh
Like
heck yeah,
driving around, singing along, great for that.
Mm-hmm.
Exercise, way better for that than like some other genres because
Mm-hmm.
you need like kind of a catchy part to focus on, right? And then it's also not as annoying to like your other people around you who don't
Yes.
like your music, because even people that I've been around like that don't listen to rock so much, like they'll like put up with pop punk or
Yeah.
something like that. But good luck trying to put on like a hardcore
You-
album around there or like metal or anything like that. They
it's
don't
an
like
excellent point. You can use pop punk as a
Yeah.
gateway into punk,
Yeah.
and then a gateway into harder punk,
Yeah.
and then a gateway into hardcore. But you can't gateway hardcore.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
There's no.
Or even movies, like it's
You
so
can't-
often the soundtrack. It's like good for soundtrack because you have like a energetic thing
Yeah.
as the character like drives away or leans for the kiss or enters a party or whatever. Like it's so good for so many things. It's so versatile. I never realized it or appreciated it when I was
Yeah.
just more into hardcore.
Hardcore is like someone who already knows different flavors of whiskey.
Oh, I was gonna
You
say
know,
hardcore is
an
like
experienced
it's
drinker.
like a blue cheese, like it's an
There
acquired
you
taste.
go. Yeah, it's
and
probably a
pop
better
punk,
example. Yes.
That's craft singles.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
everyone has had it. Like everyone knows what it tastes like. They might, like
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the melted cheese.
It's not for the people that are super into cheese per se.
Yeah. But then if you really get into cheese, like you
Yeah,
said,
you're-
you might be willing to try
Yeah,
hardcore.
you'll start with the craft and cheddar, and you move on to Havarti here and there,
Gruyere.
Jack, and then all of a sudden you're eating blue cheese or like sheep's milk cheese or
you're right.
whatever. So that's what it is. It's just more accessible. I don't know why that's not obvious to us. I think because we went through it like completely different direction than a lot of people, so it maybe wasn't immediately obvious to us.
Oh,
that,
I don't
of
think
course,
at
it's
age
more
17 you could explain it to me this way and be like, you know what? It's like aged cheese.
Yeah, aged
and
cheese.
That's how I'm going to get excited about hardcore. No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what we do now.
Yeah, but
And now it makes
now
sense.
we can look back and be like, oh, music is like cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that wrapped up my picks.
Yeah. Do you have any grudges this week?
In therapy,
Mm-hmm.
you get some advice, and some of it's good, and some of it's bad. And when it goes bad, man, it can really go against you if you don't know what you're doing and you do it wrong.
Uh-oh.
So that's I hadn't had an experience where, like, I had ever had a bad outcome or trying a technique that I didn't understand and it didn't go well.
What you're trying to say is when you get advice that doesn't work, that's your grudge. The short of the long of it.
Because there's just so much trust where
Right.
I'm willing to try anything you got, throw it at me, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're just not good at it and it goes wrong. It's not so much a grudge. It's just more like, well, I mean, it is a grudge. Mm-hmm. I could go into more detail, but I won't. But that's where I'm going to end it with. That's my grudge then.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten a lot of some advice here and there that's been terrible, so I understand from my friends usually.
Well,
though.
I would expect something off the wall from an off the wall friend, but
Yeah.
sometimes things go good and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, I have to think about my grudge. I don't even.
Yeah, you weren't prepared for grudge.
Yeah.
I mean, now we have a grudge on Anti-Flag, just flat out.
But that's pretty obvious. Yeah. So this has been
Almost Punk Podcast.
Almost Punk Podcast.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next time.
Yep. Follow us on Instagram at Almost Punk. Send us your music. Send us your grudges. almostpunkpod@gmail.com.
We're out of here.
Yep.
Bye.